Hello and welcome to Things I Like the Most in This Book. It's like some kind of a book review of the book Why We Sleep. So let's see what we got. The first one is caffeine can take up to 10 hours to get out of the system, and decaf is usually contains 30% of the actual dose. So two interesting things. First of all, caffeine can take up to 10 hours. I thought it's much less than that, so that can be the reason if you drink it at afternoon can prevent you to fall asleep faster. Also decaf, I thought the decaf is no caffeine at all. Turns out that mostly it contains 30% of the actual dose, which is still caffeine. Next one we have FM and AM. It's radio. FM is stronger but shorter and powerful, and AM is longer but weaker. So FM and AM radio, we have it in the radio. The differences between them, I don't remember why they're talking about it, but like the reason is, but I found it interesting. So FM is stronger but shorter. So if you in rural places, you mostly won't have good FM reception, radio waves, but it's more powerful, so more quality. And AM is longer, so you can get it linking also by like very distant areas, but it's actually weaker. Interesting. Next one is in a new location, you can sleep with almost half of the brain. This is why sleep won't be as good. So when we sleep in a hotel, when we not sleep in our bed, basically, we can sleep only with half of our brain. So half of the brain is actually awake. And that can be one of the reasons that we don't sleep as good in new places. Of course, it depends between people to people. It varies. Next one is Rem Sleep helps creativity and also helps us to restrain our old animalistic habits. So that's another thing that Rem Sleep helps, that deep sleep. It helps creativity, enhance creativity, and helps us to restrain. So some people can be, if they don't get enough sleep, they can be more aggressive, and they will be harder for them to stop our old animalistic habits. So it can be any one of these old habits. So aggressiveness, violence, and etc. Next one is embryo is not awake during pregnancy and therefore is not kicking. This is an automatic response. People think, oh, the baby is kicking inside a woman's body, but this is actually not true. This is not because he is awake. This is automatic responses. He is not doing that on purpose, and has nothing to do with the songs you're listening to or what food you're eating. That's a huge misconception and myths. Next one is sleep helps us to save memories and to be ready for more and new memories. And that's what sleep does. It helps us to save the memories for longer terms, and it's like saving or creating space for a newer one. So it's like deleting or shrinking. I don't know. Like if you think of like as a floppy disk. So maybe zipping some of the files, and therefore you have more places or more storage to newer files. Maybe. That's how it said. It doesn't say that floppy disk. Next one is sleep help to create, save, and incorporate memories along with increased productivity. So again, sleep also helps to create and incorporate memories, and also it's increased productivity. It might be the same idea, but it is really important, I guess. Sleep deprivation can cause mental disorders such as bipolar or suicidal thoughts. So that can be, it's also hallucinations. A lot of things can happen as a result of sleep deprivation. So people can get bipolar or suicidal thoughts. So sometimes it can be directly caused because of sleep deprivation and not other mental problems. So the solution might be only to just sleep more, and that can be helpful. Next one is lack of sleep is directly related to injuries and high blood sugar. People with lack of sleep can be diagnosed as pre-diabetic. That's really interesting, is that there is more, so lack of sleep deprivation is related with more injuries because the person that has that lack of sleep, who is a sleep deprived, is not as focused, so he is more prone to injure himself. And additionally, it's increased high blood sugar. So if that person goes to check it out, like in the doctor, or do a blood test, he will be diagnosed as pre-diabetic because he has high blood sugar, which is not normal. Next one, we have sleep deprivation make the person crave saltier, sweeter, and high calories food. That's another thing that sleep deprivation does. You will want, and I noticed that also with when I don't sleep well, I want shittier food, basically. In other words, saltier, sweeter, high calories, and that's might be one of the reasons that people gain weight is sleep deprivation. Next one is after experiencing some profound emotions during the day, we are more likely to dream about it during the night. So that sometimes people think, oh, well, if I dream about it, so it usually happens when there is intense and unusual emotions during the day. You're more likely to think to dream about it during the night. Interesting. Dreams are good for detaching emotions from memories and for a recollection and embed memories for longer terms. So that helps. Sleep helps that too, but dreams especially good for detaching emotions from memories. So that's good for PTSD, for example. That's one of the problems there, and I think that's the next one. But that helps to detach emotions from memories and embed memories for longer term. So that's what helps. Sleep helps, but especially dream helps to save memories for longer terms. So now we get PTSD sometimes mean that the brain cannot detox, and that's what happens here. And the emotions that is associated with the event, sometimes it's due to lack of REM sleep. So that's what happens with dreams. And the brain cannot detach or detox, in other words, the emotions that associate to the event. So the patient will keep experiencing, quote unquote, experiencing the same event. He's not really experiencing, but in his head, in his brain, he's experiencing the same emotional response, which is supposed to get detached or get detoxed. Next one is sleep deprivation can cause a human to not interpret emotion and social and facial recognitions correctly. So that's another thing they found, that sleep deprivation is interfering with our emotional and social skills. So we might think that person is happy when he's not, and is angry when he's not. We're more likely to misinterpret the information. It's interesting. REM sleep and dreams help problem solving and find solutions for complicated problems that the waking brain cannot solve. So that's what REM sleep does. And dreams helps problem solving. So this is usually people that have really like big problems or complicated problems they cannot solve during the day. They go to sleep and wake up next morning with that solution. So dreams and REM sleeps actually create or help solve problems that the waking brain is not able to do so. He tells a story about a person that, a professor that he used to fall asleep during his work, and whenever he fell asleep, he had some kind of a way to wake himself up right when he fell asleep. So, and wrote down what he had dreamed in that moment. So that really helps with creativity. The next one, so this one we got through it. Yes. So the next one is insomnia is only when you give yourself 7 to 9 hours of sleep and you are unable and inadequate to fully sleep. So some people think, I have insomnia, but it turns out that they're barely in bed for 7 hours. So you don't give yourself the space or the opportunity to sleep well. So you need at least 7 to 9 hours in bed, be ready to sleep, not with your phone. And that if you can't or inadequate to do so, only then this is considered to be insomnia. Next idea is paradoxical insomnia. It's when you think you haven't slept, but the monitor actually shows that you slept quite well. I think it happened to me a few times that you feel like for some reason that you haven't slept well, but when they checked it out, when it was like they did a study, I think it's actually the writer or the author is they found out that that person actually slept quite well, and you just think that way. Next one is insomnia, often caused by fight or flight response, which cause the body to increase metabolic rate, increase body temperature and heartbeat, all which prevent a person from falling asleep. That's one of the problems that cause insomnia. Is fight or flight response can be caused from multiple causes, stress, overstress, or other reasons that this fight or flight response might be turned on. And what this causes is increased metabolic rate, increased body temperature and heart rate. So all those conditions prevent someone from falling asleep. Next one is in REM sleep. Your body paralyzes you in order to prevent you from acting out your dream. That's one of the reasons that when you're REM sleep, you will be paralyzed and your muscles will be the most relaxed. You don't have no control on your body, only when you are in REM sleep, because you don't want to act your dreams. So if someone is like attacking you, you don't want to move your hands. Next one is sleep deprivation is weakening your instinct, which in turn might cause early deaths and sickness. That's what sleep deprivation does. It's weakening your instinct, and also it can cause an early death because you might do something you shouldn't do, like accidents. A lot of accidents caused by sleep deprivation, and sicknesses because your immune system doesn't function as well. Next one is alcohol prevent you from continuous sleep and also prevent REM sleep. That's what alcohol does. I think it's the same idea as well. So it prevents continuous sleep. So your sleep is not continuous. There is a lot of interferences in between, and it also prevent REM sleep at all. Like not at all, but also the REM sleep is not that in quality. Also, alcohol interfere with formation of long-term memory, especially before sleep. During the day is not that obstructed. So this is what alcohol does. Also, it prevents long-term memory, the formation of long-term memory, especially before going to sleep. So that is really important before going to sleep. And what he claims as during the day, if you're doing it early during the day, is not as obstructive. Next one is, in order to sleep, we need to drop the body temperature, especially in the face, hands, and legs. This is why it's good to wash our faces before going to sleep, so we cool our body. This is also why we stick hands and legs outside of the blanket. It's pretty straightforward. The body needs to drop the body temperature, I think like 2 degrees Celsius, at least, something like that. And that's really important for anyone to fall asleep. It's really hard to fall asleep with that, and it's actually true. I also feel that when I'm in a hot room, it's really hard to fall asleep. So that's really helps. So if you want to sleep good, I think he recommends the room to be 65 degrees with blanket and everything. 65 degrees. I usually don't put it that low. That's interesting. The alarm clock caused the body to get into shock, literally shock, especially when there is use of snooze, because there will be repeat the shock over and over again. This is I wasn't aware of that, because I do sometimes. I actually wake up in the morning and actually initially like, oh shit, what's going on? Because you are like, I wasn't prepared for that. So it is kind of shock. Like literally, you said like you literally again your body gets into shock. So stress, hormones, and lots of shit. But especially it's not good to, and I'm trying to do that right now, is to not snooze, because when you snooze, you do that over and over again, every 5 minutes, or some people do it in 3 minutes. So you do it over and over again to your body, and that is not good at all. It's not healthy. Next one is sleeping pills are not as effective as natural sleep. So studies shows that sleeping pills are not that effective, even though the patient sleep in that time, but it's not effective. It's not rejuvenating the body, and it's not doing everything that sleep should do. So dreams, creativity, little memories, all that shit. Next one is CBT for insomnia. The practice of understanding what are the causes for insomnia and trying to eliminate those. So he claims that CBT is a pretty good way to solve insomnia, because you find out the ways of why you are unable to fall asleep. So there is something there is causes. So it can be heat or stress and many causes, but that's a good way to solve the problem. What else we have? A lack of sleep hurts productivity, and therefore companies shouldn't advocate for working more hours. Sleep deprivation will have a direct effect on the company profitability. So what he claims is companies are always, work more and more hours, more hours is good, but actually turns out that it hurts productivity because you will be sleep deprived, and you won't work as good. So because if you work more, you get out home later, you don't have time to do other things you need to do, and you fall asleep later, but you still need to be in the office at the same time. So it means that you slept less, and productivity will drop significantly. And also sleep deprivation will have what they find out, they did many studies, that sleep deprivation has a direct effect on the company profitability. So companies that manage somehow to increase or let their employees to sleep more even while working, like Google and Nike, and they actually increase profitability much more. Some kids who diagnosed as ADHD, next one is ADHD, actually have sleep deficiencies, and some doctors are misthinking that with ADHD, and that giving kids extremely powerful drugs that only keeps them awake for longer. So some kids are diagnosed with ADHD, but the problem is that they have sleep deprivation. They don't sleep as good. They don't get enough sleep for a whole bunch of reasons. It's too hot in the room or whatever. It can be many other reasons, but they don't function well in class, so people think it's because of ADHD, but this is not the reason. And then they get really powerful drugs that only perpetuating the cycle. So they still don't perform well, and they sleep less, and doesn't help. Next one is hospitals, where people need to sleep the most. There is high sound pollution, which prevent people from sleeping the necessary amount. So hospitals, people really need to sleep, because this is really the way of the body to heal itself. And when there is sound pollution, so a lot of beepings, a lot of talking, a lot of machines, and this is actually prevent people from getting the necessary sleep. So he also claims that hospitals, next one is, hospitals should ask patients what are the times they're usually going to sleep at. Additionally, they should at least provide face masks and earplugs. So, of course, that's not really, it's really hard to get everyone the exact same sleep, because everyone is going to sleep in different times. But he said, when people that sleep, the sleep cycles are in the same time, you should at least get those ones in the same room, or try to do so. And additionally, that's really important. That doesn't cost a lot of money. Even some flight airline companies are providing that. It's really cheap. Get face masks, because there is also light usually in emergency rooms or general in the hospital, and earplugs, because there is a lot of noise. So that's really important. Next one is, if you're in bed more than 20 minutes, wake up and do some relaxing activity. Don't stay in bed. This is what he recommends. Do not stay in bed for too long if you can't get sleep. Just wake up, do some relaxing activity, trying to relax, because when you're in bed and trying to go to sleep, that's gonna produce anxiety, because I can't get sleep, and that's only prevent you from falling asleep. This one is just 12 tips to sleeping well. This is the end of the book. Right in the end of the book, he gives 12 tips to fall asleep. I'm not going to go through those. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you.